A lot of border. Oh, okay.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? So rock that. Can you feel it? So rock that. Can you feel it? So rock that. Can you feel it?
Oh, pretty good there. Heavy, heavy, heavy. Well, Guten morning. Good morning. You know what they used to say? Good morning, Vietnam. For those that've never watched me before, this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host, Big Pontiac. I am the holder of the infinite ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. I am also the Galactic Daddy-O, sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. And I drank all my beer earlier, so just sugar, filtered water, and the copper. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. Finally caught alive. How I'm feeling about the war. I don't think why we should care. I really think that. Why should we care about this war? When has war ever benefited us? Melanated people, colored people. When has it benefited us? I mean, after World War II, they were so afraid of us because they trained 300,000 of us to kill Europeans that they called it the riots of 1919, the bloody summer. And they went and meticulously killed thousands of soldiers. They I believe what do they call it? The Spanish flu. They killed a bunch of Europeans that way because they were afraid of them million Europeans that they trained to kill. So what's going on right now is partly wag the dog. It's partly to help Biden, to try to make him some type of hero. So I don't I mean there's no reason we should have any care about it. I mean, one thing I'll say is I never thought we'd see Europeans fighting Europeans again. Now I know we had the Baltic War, we had the people in Czechoslovakia, but I really what we see is them fighting each other. So why should we care? Why should we care? We shouldn't care at all. So I'm trying this equipment to see if it'll work. It don't look like it's working. My daughter broke my headphones, so I forgot to get another pair. I can't wear headphones the whole time anyway. That shit gets too hot on me. So trying to see if this shit's working. We'll see. I don't think the partly working, probably. Partly working, but I think we'll get by. But yeah, I don't really think we should care. I don't think it should be one melanated person. And you know how they trying to get melanated people to care? All of a sudden they saying that the Africans, what Africans doing there? What is Africans doing there? Hey, liquid fire. You know, why are Africans in the Ukraine? That makes no sense. Why are they up there? Well, obviously for jobs and stuff, and then they crying they can't get out. And then they trying to make it like that when we know Europe ain't really like that. I mean, Ukraine, them people is mongrel. Oh, these are mongrel people. And I bring some other stuff up. My brother sent me a thing, and like when Putin called them Nazis and stuff. Well, what you have to understand, and my brother sent me a brilliant video showing that you know how mafia controlled Ukraine is. You know, the first thing they want to tell you is about Russian oligarchs, but what are the mafia? What about the Russian mob that's in Ukraine? Unchecked, unchecked. And so this is a country that's almost 50% speaking Russian people. Especially, I imagine the border people. I mean, these are ethnic mongrel. In most cases, they still mongrel people. So it ain't nothing for us to care about. In some ways, we should sit there and cheer that they attacking each other. Something I never thought in my life I would see again. I never thought I would see them attacking each other again. So quite surprising. Quite surprising in some ways. Ah, the mic is blocking my. Oh well. We'll see how this goes. So that's how I feel. I feel like it's none of our business. It's none of our care, none of our concern. No melanated person should care. And like I was having a conversation with my mother, and we were talking about, you know, Biden shut down the pipeline, and like we should care about Indian rights. You know, again, mongrel people, native rights. Thought you said you had everything. Here you are. Thought you had your headphones in your game. What? Okay. You threw off my flow. Made me forget what I was gonna say. Well, you said you weren't coming back out. Yeah, I forgot my point. It'll come back to me. But we can't really. It's nothing to do with us. And so, um, yeah, when did you see that Magnum manipulated game winner by Wisconsin? No, I turned Lobo. I didn't watch. I watched I watched Biden speak, and then I saw the game was on ESPN, but I didn't watch Wisconsin because I hate Wisconsin. I ain't really don't really care for Purdue either, because isn't that who's playing? But I caught LeBron shooting the one by the stars. He shot the one by the stars, and it's the first one I caught where it caught the rotation, and the rotation stopped, and then hits the back of the rim. Anytime you see it roll, and then Peyton's dunk on the same rim that I showed D'Angelo Russell missed. It's the same rim, and you know they do the same thing to push out the dunk. So you know, the system is manipulated. Oh, this was what I was gonna say. So my mother was like, "Well, you care about oil going in the Indian, you know, the American Indian mongrels that we got in America?" And the point is this: they've taken this whole country. They've taken this whole country. So really, this whole country is theirs. If you really believe that they can't, they make them people pay taxes when they're supposed to be non-tax. They still get some taxes from these people, and they can build shit over their land. I mean, they took the whole country. They took the East Coast from my people all the way to the Midwest. And then once they ran into the mongrels that had later came into these lands, like in 1800 and something, came into these lands up from Canada. And then they took their lands. So, so them putting shit over them so-called their land ain't is a lie, because they took the whole country. So they can take any of it to use it any kind of way they want to. And so it would benefit us in a lot of ways for them drilling on that pipeline. So I don't subscribe to any fear programs. not listening to news for low vibrational energies. I've learned life's much better. The joy of happy truth. Um, yep, joy stays. Love supreme. Yeah, love is supreme. Absolutely. And listen to these motherfuckers and feeling some kind of way about it. You shouldn't feel any kind of way. You know, when you see the same customers, like they got Van Jones talking like a fool again, and again, it's like, why do we care about any of these people? It's something that we shouldn't have, we have no interest in. Hey, Stacy, you're only YouTuber I listen to. You have taught me so much. Thank you for information on Motivate. Is much appreciated. Can't believe the power that crystal holds. Yeah. I mean, there's people that get like what's called a Motivate flush, where they can't even hold the Motivate. Like my friend Christina that has the she sends out the crystals and stuff. She has a crystal business. Again, you know, she can't wear Motivate. It's too strong for her. And she gets too much in reaction. And you see, I wear, you know, these big pieces. And like I said earlier, it's how you use the magic. You don't have to use everything that it does. You know, you use what it but I appreciate that's a very kind thing to say, Stacy. But you use the part of it that will benefit you. And one great part of Motivate, especially as you get older, Motivate will help with your acuity. So will wearing gold. And so that's the part you use of it. Now to take me higher, yeah, there's times where Motivate has taken me higher. Yeah. But I deal with a Papa Light so much and Pedalite and so many Zoo Lights that do that as well. But it's just funny. Like I meditated with Numite earlier. This is my little Numite, my little one, and I broke the tip off. I feel so bad. But this is my my small one I used to carry. I have a big one, and as I was holding it, I could just feel because like, let me see a bigger one. Like to charge something like this up to make a wand work, it ain't no abracadabra stuff. I mean, you really have to sit with this, and you have to really push the energy from the bottom all the way through, especially if you're trying to heal something. I mean, that's what it takes. You have to really activate it. So it ain't no Harry Potter boom, you know, you have to work with it, you have to activate it. So that's kind of a way that you would work with that. So yeah. But thank you. I'm glad it benefits. I think this Motivate should be bought and given to old people as a way to help with memory. What did you lose? You lost something you're looking around for. Looking out weird. Oh, your vape. Oh yeah, definitely smoke them if you got them. Y'all watched that Laker game. I missed the who won the Boston game. I missed that one. And it's funny. Ooh. Always finding dudes from this area that's playing pro that I just lost track of. It's another boy, and I can't think of his name, but he's from Texas and he plays for the Knicks. He's like 6'9", 6'10". That's another dude from this area. He got drafted 50 something. I used to see his brother almost every day. His brother's one of the bud sellers. I don't know how much bud he sells since he got busted, but he's one of the bud sellers. Oh, there's Mr. Lamborghini Laylock. What's happening? Didn't even see you there. But there you go. I mean, so just forget the amount of boys and the amount of people that really can prosper from this area in sports, especially basketball. We got another young man that is going to play defensive tackle, I think, for the youth. So we're looking for big things from him. I think he got redshirted, but if he has a good season coming up, shit, you know, he can go pro after this year. So big Devin Easton, big Devo they call him. So, but I just forget about that dude. Came to me, it's like you know so and so and so, and he's like, I'm like, oh yeah, I do know, and I forgot about his brother because he's always saying, well, you know, my brother who protects us. I'm like, oh yeah. Now his brother's in the league with the Knicks, so just lose track of people. And yeah, like someone was saying, you know, about the news, that's this whole thing. And now, like Trump said, this thing is just disappearing like it never happened. Now they saying that they got a pill where if you go test positive, they can just give you a pill. You go to them, you test positive, they give you a pill. That's what he said tonight. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit?
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Somebody,
So we'll see. We'll see. uh, so I guess there should be a positive word out there, and like don't worry about distraction and worry about what's in that pill. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What's in it? What's in it? So I don't know what's in the pill either. They already have support Ukraine commentaries on TV. That damn fast. Exactly. Like it's almost planned out. You know, it's almost like it's planned out. In ways, it is planned out. As I said before, you know, one thing that Elijah Muhammad said, he said that, you know, when they burned down most of Alexandria, there was books that told the past and the future. And so in some ways that goes into the faith, but some way, if you look at this machine would have to do that. This machine would have to plot out how it's going to react. And not to say organic things don't happen, but they do happen. But like most of the things we look at, this shit is so inorganic. It's so inorganic. And so we just have to use this discernment. We have to use discernment, and we care on things that's close to home. You know, all them Democrats was talking about defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. And this is the sad thing. You don't hear the melanated people's neighborhood saying defund the police. They had to sue these people to make them do coverage because, as I said before, where Floyd got killed, they quit policing. But they took it out on the melanated people that live on the north side of Minneapolis. They slow, you know, slow to respond, slow to respond to calls. And I'll say this: a lot of young brothers from the north side did storm downtown. They did, no doubt, no doubt. That's where the most melanated people live in this area. The south side is kind of a mix. And the south side is kind of interesting because you go through, as you go through, it might be African section, American Indian section, and then you see where the melanated people of America section is. I mean, Lake Street goes all the way to St. Paul, technically. So, um, so it's nothing we should care about. Nothing we should care about, but they want us to care about it. And I'm surprised they don't do like Vietnam because you know they in there got advisors in there. You know, if they got a embassy in there, they got advisors in there. They got people that's giving them the Stinger missiles and shit. Biden is one hidden guy. He barely comes out of his shell. Exactly, exactly. Matter of fact, he one of the Bidens got all them like horns right here. You know, I showed that on the video. Put that on Facebook a year or so ago. It's like one of the Bidens got a lot of. So tonight it looked like the wig. It really did look like the mask. Excuse me. It looked like the mask tonight. It looked like the mask Biden tonight. That's what I thought. And they bring an actor like Tom Hanks, or Tom Hanks ain't tall enough, but they bring an actor, you know, like Mission Impossible showed in the 60s. You know, Mission Impossible was doing the fake mask in the 60s. So that's what I believe. That's what I believe that we saw tonight. But when he said the dude, what did he say? He said some instead of saying not uranium, but he said Iranian instead of the other word. Oh, Ukrainians. Instead of saying Ukrainians, he said Iranians. So, and then his go-to is always his son. He always mentions his son. That's what I don't get. Hey, researcher, 100% right about using discernment, especially the information age. We have to be on our own filters regarding news. That's right. That's right. Any, many, me, ma, so many masks and suits. That's right. That's right. Liquefier, you know. Um, so we have to like it's so much stuff that you have to understand how things go. Hey Jeff, thank you for joining. The whole crisis with Ukrainian and Russia is just a distraction from what's going on in Canada. Oh yeah, because we've got a monarch going on over there. We've got a monarch about to take over. Well, it's taking over. And so yeah, people aren't paying attention. And then they're talking about the trucks are going to DC. They put the fences back up around the White House, which they've wanted that for years. There was a time back in the 80s, well, probably 90, where you could walk. Let me see, because you park by the Washington Monument. That's one of the ways where you park. And there was a turnstile where you went right next to the Oval Office. You went right next to the Oval Office. I remember when you could drive down Pennsylvania Avenue still. When I first started going to DC in the 80s, you could still drive right in front of Pennsylvania Avenue. You can't, none of all that's closed off now. But it was a time with a turnstile when you park and then you want to go to like the other monuments, you walk right through the White House. You'd walk right through all that area and be right there. They've cut all that out. They've cut all that out. Hey, Marco, what's happening? Yeah, exactly. And anytime you see it front and center and all of them pushing it, you know that it is something bogus. So yeah, it is something bogus. That's right. They push that. So we are able to sit back and watch them. Sit back and watch what they do. Now, this has been a good day for me. I had acupuncture, and what's funny is, I got funky before I went in there, and I had my buds, and I put my buds on something, and got deep into it. Towards the end, because they must have. Sometimes they forget about me. I know I was in there a good 20 minutes, but it felt so good. But it's funny. As I'm laying there, because again, I'm face down like you getting a massage, something just hit my arm and my arm just flew like this and came right back. It's like either the energy's coming out. It was just interesting how the energy just came out. So that was kind of interesting. But nothing like it. Seeing a chiropractor, getting my back cracked, and then the acupuncture, that is wonderful. And just getting stronger. That's all, just getting stronger. Ooh. And so, yes, of course, we see it and we see them pushing it, and we know. So, but again, I'm so surprised that they fighting each other. But again, it's like different types of Europeans. But I never would thought they would fight each other because they did that. Just like the Japanese fought the Chinese, just like they fought each other in Vietnam. You were seeing the attack on yellow people. It made me even want to think about Gaddafi and what they did to Gaddafi. So Gaddafi had all these jets where Gaddafi could have fucked up the rebels. But you know what the UN did? The UN said no fly zone. They ain't doing that over there, are they? That's what the UN and NATO came in. They said that Gaddafi couldn't use his jets against the people trying to overthrow him. Now, who do you think was that they cared about? This man had $1 million worth of jets, which would knock their shit out anytime they was out in broad daylight on the road. Gaddafi could have sent his jets in and fucked them up. But because they wanted to overthrow him, they went to war against him because no fly zone mean we attack you if you fly. So do you see how they wanted to stack the deck against him? See how they killed one of his children? And I remember how happy my father was. Was never more disgusted with my father than how happy he was when Reagan attacked Gaddafi, when he just attacked him. And I'm looking at this man like, wow, but I know my dad was an agent. My dad worked for them people. So that don't surprise me. Hey, Gene, thank you for joining. I believe next, if the citizens of Canada lose that fight, we're next. Well, of course, they practice this shit everywhere first. They want to practice it before they implement it. We're looking at a machine. That's how the machine works. The machine does a practice before it actually goes. So that tells you I'm fucking with a microphone, ain't even connected. But that's what a machine does. Machine has to give you simulations and gives you practice. That's the machine. That's how the machine works. So we see that. We see it and see it for what it's worth. And it's like what you bring in and the information you get in. It's like all these people, like one young brother, and I think Sly had the brother on, and he talks about how you get all this paperwork done and they can't fuck with you when you drive. But yet, if you look at his show, he always getting stopped. You see my point? He's attracting what he's thinking he's above. He's actually attracting that. And law is the same kind of way. You notice the type of people that do the laws is people that's been in a lot of trouble before and had to deal with this. But that kind of thing will you be attracted to you. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with information, but I'm just saying some of this stuff, if you study it, you'll start attracting that kind of thing. You start attracting, you start studying a lot of this law and stuff in a lot of ways. Uh, you'll start bringing that to you. For you know it, you got to use that shit. And so some of this shit, understand it, but you silently understand it, and you only bring so much of it in, because again, if you bring a lot of that shit in, you see yourself having to use that shit. And that's why there's people that bring this information out there because they've had to use this shit. So in some ways, you attract that. Hey, Divine Network, Solutions, Gaddafi, propping up currency backed by gold. Absolutely. They didn't want that. They didn't want any Africans using gold instead of the federal banks. And this is the other thing. It's like people on your border like that, when they start making moves, you ain't like the French made the same mistake with the Maginot Wall. Soon as you saw Germans mobile somewhere, you should have started shooting rounds at their ass. You wait, you build these big fortifications, it's still there, but they tricked you and they came out another way. So they didn't have to go up against that defense force, which again, that was predictable. This fucking shit was predictable. So you see how the wars is predictable. Yeah, no, I don't mind busting this mug out. My father was a straight agent. My father, see what they did is, um, and it almost goes back to things they set up with Roosevelt with the Great Society. But there was a thing called Job Corps, and Job Corps was a way for them to recruit people to spy on the civil rights era. It's like my father, my mother's old boyfriend, all these dudes went through Job Corps. Well, Job Corps was also a training ground for snitches. Like my father one time, my father embellishes a lot of shit. Um, because him tell it like this is let me tell you how people lie. I talked to my father, and my father's kind of losing his memory a little bit. And we're just talking about running and shit and how we really can't run anymore. And then my father starts off, well, I was a world-class sprinter. And like I've heard this lie so much, but it's like, dude, you only ran high school track. You never won state. You never ran track, AAU, none of that shit. You from DeWaljack, Michigan. You ran high school track in DeWaljack, Michigan. I don't think that qualifies for world class. He only ran against people of the Big 8 conference in Michigan in the 1960s, early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. That don't make you world class. But he had told that lie so much. And so, hey, Marcus the Great, what's happening, Gene? The Muppets are really noisy. So he worked through Job Corps. And when he went to Job Corps, I'm sure he spied on black groups when he went to New York, because that was this poor person that was working in Job Corps with wayward youth, trying to show them some skills. Keelan, whatever, just leave it out there. But trying to show them some skills, they were recruiting people. So when my father said he might have went to watch King, he was down there spying. He was down there spying. And so when he finally came back to Michigan, he was spying on the anti-war movement, and he was spying on the civil rights, the brothers, the Black Panthers kind of movement. And again, he had if you read Sold on Ice, he had that Lazarus thing, where being with a European woman made him feel like he was successful. I mean, that's really the way he was raised. Since they couldn't be with him as children when he got to adult, it was really a generation of baby boomers that's how they felt. Now, I grew up in mainly, it was 4 or 5 melanated families, the rest European. That's kind of how I grew up, but it was kind of like integration. I mean, remember busing, I started getting bused in 4th grade. 4th grade, they gave us if we wanted to bus, we could be bused. And then 5th grade, we had to be bused. So it wasn't that big a deal to me. The women lived next to me, or the young girls lived next to me. So it wasn't the same thing. But later, my father ended up being the city the city manager. Well, not the city manager, but the personnel director for the city of Battle Creek. He did that for like 28, 29 years. But that's how he got rewarded for being a snitch. Because he worked for him from a young age. So he got rewarded. He kept going to, I'll say this, he kept going to college. Hey, Ciova, that's a bad man there. Everybody, you should be, Ciova is a person that talks about tech and how to set up your channel. So if you're thinking about that, good man to give free information, Yeah, world class, high school person. Hey, there's my man, Conspiracy University. He's another one that you need to subscribe to too. Was a great live you did about battling the gods. I caught it okay, thank you. Yeah, it was tough. And that's called like, at the end of it all, when I saw the hero twins in the cloud, again, I've said before that I've had visions in the clouds before, and visions in the clouds is called oh, really? Okay, thank you. I don't know. It's called chaomancy. So sky visions are called chaomancy. And it was just the way the hero twins was letting me know that, that this fight was with them. They helped me out. So, but I you have to work with this stuff. You have to really work with this stuff daily. Okay, leave that alone. All the shit will fall out. So if you work with this stuff daily, that's how you benefit from it. That's how you benefit from it. It becomes part of you. So that's all. And that's this and having to move through this thing. And then I always talk about, I'm one of the few to talk about the energy of driving. I mean, it's definitely a type of spell that you can learn. Keeler! He's got his headphones on. I think he forgot about his food. I don't know if dude is still out there. I see the car. Just drop it. Usually they just drop the food and leave. He paid for it already. Oh, okay. He's pulling off. So that's just part of how you work your magic, how you work, because we're magical people, we're magical beings. I mean, if you think this is an illusion, then anything is possible in an illusion. And that's my only thing about free will. If this is illusionary world, there's no free will. There's no free will in illusion. And what's really, like free will also gives them, it gives like the beast an excuse. Well, I let them do it and it was their choice to do it. So I have a hard time with that. Fought for interracial sexual access, not really self-determination. That's absolutely right. And to add to that, neighborhoods thrive before integration. Neighborhoods really did thrive before integration. I mean, we did not need, what integration was about was taking away the dollars from the Black community and nothing more. Because there was a time we only spent money like right now, they always said like in the Chinese, the Jewish faith people communities, all their money stayed. And that's how we were set up. And this is how we know there are more of us than what they say. They wanted our money because that was the thing. We did not eat in their establishments. We did not shop in their establishments. We didn't need to. We had our own establishments that we supported. So we took money out of our people, out of our neighbors, out of our friends. And that's King. That's why you got to look at King as working for them. He was an agent. That's right. Do you think there are only benefits to being, or do you think there's any benefits to being baptized? Well, I don't really see a demonic side of it. It's the rest of the practice. That practice in itself goes back before Christianity, goes back even before, it goes to like you being rained on and feeling that you cleansed and feeling that you refreshed. So you don't need them to really say a spell, because that's what they do. They say a spell over you when they baptize you. As I was saying, when the young man passed, They do spells, and they try to do those spells to lock your soul in. That's why they want you in the casket surrounded by 8 corners, because it's spells. So that's the only negative I see. Yeah, I got to get the computer going. I've just been so lazy. I got so much more going. Speaking of free will, politicians in Australia are using that line now when talking about Jacob adverse side effects like clockwork. Wow, not surprised. Not surprised. Not surprised. But when I get it all together, selling to Metro Document in the 50s broke that down. And so it was something, ain't Nicole B? So it was just something that hurt us, that made us as a people less strong. And as I said before, the real war started when in the 50s, when they knew that they was going to take the jobs, because they wanted, we gave up all that farmland. And I don't think that, Dane Calloway really gets into that part. We gave up farmland to work in these factories, to live in the ghettos. And we end up building decent neighborhoods because we were middle class by the 70s. There was a period where we were middle class people. As I talk about, when you had functional heroin addicts in Detroit working at these factories, there's people going to the factories every day and shooting heroin every night. Functional. Not these zombies, functional. Or maybe if they had to do some at noon or lunch or whatever, they were still working. They wasn't just shooting themselves and going to sleep. This is how they learned to function. But they knew in the 50s they wasn't going to make so much money. They didn't want to deal with these unions. And we had Ronald Reagan, who was the #1 union buster. Marco wrong for that La China James avatar. That's funny. I feel such a great energy when I drive after smoking a joint or two. Yeah. Oh, thank you, the one. The only thing like driving and smoking herbs is kind of it goes against each other in a lot of ways. It really does, because alcohol and driving is a lot of the same energy. And again, the demon that runs, the troll under the bridge, the entity that runs driving can't let people just die. That's why drunks can, for years, never get caught. Because think about if people go out there driving and crash and dying every day, people wouldn't drive. So that energy is the same. That's why in some ways the energy is like drunk energy. If that makes any sense, it is that kind of energy where smoking weed slows you down a little bit. That thing is all about speed, the moving. Where when you smoke a joint, you kind of like laid back. When they show Cheech and Chong going 3 miles an hour. What a respectful way to put it to rest to you and your thoughts on cremation. Oh, the box was never resonated. Yeah, I mean, I've listened to people that say cremation, that really you can't advance spiritually if ain't no body, and that's not really true. That's not true, because the main thing is you want to go back to the source. And when they put you in that 8-sided box, that box is a hex, just like our doorways are a type of hexes. It's to hold your spirit in. It ain't really to let your spirit out. And again, the shell that goes in there, again, taking all your organs out, taking all your fluids out. When you get cremated, just cremate me. You ain't got to take shit out. Burn it all. Burn it all. No, you can't have shit on my license. None of that shit. Just burn it all. And so you still going to source. Now, some people like I think it's kind of what is the word? Like my ex has all her father's pyramids and shit with his ashes. I don't know if I want to go that far. Right now you can get fingerprints of the deceased and stuff you want to wear. Okay. But cremation is just going to source. So anyway, you go to the source, because the spiritual work happens right when you die. Now some say, and there's some instances where you get taught how to die. Some call that, Wes Paneri calls that the middle passage, where you get taught how to die, where you get taught how to go to your Akashic records. You get taught how to go what direction, where you finally will go rest to be an ancestor. Because again, it's all about directions as well, because You go in a direction because if you get called upon, it's easier to call upon you. Like when I have deceased in my family, like when my nephew and then one of the little cousins, I had to go find them to make sure that they're passing in the right place. And it's the same thing every time. Again, I end up finding what direction they're in, and then that's where they operate from power. Hmm. Let's see. Here we go. We dominate economically after slavery. We cut literacy in half. We always had answers, a solution prior to the area. Absolutely. And it wasn't just Black Wall Street. It was everywhere. It was everywhere. Like even if you look at when we were working with them, when you look at Wilmington, and really all of it started, Wilmington was a key part in history, which I know they helped. I know some future people went back and helped them, but Wilmington was a turning point because you had an electric government of both. You had mostly a melanated city, but you had electric government of kind of mixed. And then these red pants was allowed, to mobilize a militia and overthrow electric government and burn a city down. And with the government so close to Washington, D.C., where they can send troops on a train and nobody goes, or even didn't bring out the state militia. I mean, you see these events, like even I mentioned earlier, the riots of 1919, when the National Guard are called, who do they help? They don't help the melanated people, I have two paranoid driving to Houston trying to get my toke on, kill my high. That's funny. Chicken was looking like that after Locust spanned him tonight. I'm driving semi now. Okay, Marcus, be safe, brother. Yeah, I'm getting cremated too. Hey, there he is. What's happening, Lorenzo? Oh, thank you. It's just I got the mono going. I prefer cremation. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have done. It's just cheaper too. And like it's a racket with to process the body is like $800. Like it costs you or the family to go pick up the body, to take it down to somewhere it's going to be processed. That's the charge. I mean, so many charges they put in it. And so, you don't want to tax your family, or you don't want to have to do a GoFundMe. You just save 2-3 grand, and your family, you keep 2-3 grand. That's just to put you, however, if they want the pyramids or whatever the hell, that's up to them. And nothing more. Nothing more. If you show enough love during your life, then it'll be good. I'm corny. I'm in my 20s. I couldn't speed to save my life. I've been smoking, had to focus just no goodwill under the speed limit. Yeah, I catch myself all the time not driving fast enough. Why does prayer seem to work 50% of the time, but Jesus doesn't exist in that your guardian angels receive it according to the level of your needs? Well, I'll say that blind belief is not what you're really praying to. As I said before, demons can do good work. And so the religions, each religion is run by a type of demon. And so they have to perform things to be helpful, or people wouldn't believe. That's why they push, a lot of these churches push the money thing, because it's easier to show that it's working through the money thing. Well, look at, we're supporting this pastor and he's living like this. That's the money thing. And so it's almost like trickle down. I mean, none of them really do what Reverend Ike did. He went out and showed them how to make it. He was like, he worked with his people and really showed them how to make it. And you don't see that anymore. And so it's not a matter, see, you don't want, I would say more than prayer is more of you trying to manifest, or more of you showing respect. So however you want to look at it. Because like when I meditate is not the same as I do my directional thing. It's kind of totally different. My directional thing is kind of aimed differently. Again, you can't go in directions if you don't work with this stuff every day. You know, as I said before many times, I'm a natural storm energy. That's why the wind, they aid wind. And so if you don't work with this kind of stuff, of course, but you want to manifest. You know, you don't really want to pray for it, you want to manifest. And again, manifesting ain't like genie bewitched or just, you know, boom and it's there. No, it's work into it. It's work into how you want to manifest things. Yeah, I'm gonna have fun with it. What are your thoughts on guardian angels? Are they real? Well, like the thing that we really have going for us that anybody can call on, anybody can really work with is God. I mean, there's the type of guides. I mean, you can almost look like pendulum. You know, there's a kind of energy that can go into the pendulum, and the pendulum can be a kind of guide. And of course, you've got ancestors. You've got ancestors. You know, one reading they gave to my daughter's mother, because her mother passed when she was very young, is, you know, they were saying, well, you know, times your daughter cried, your mother went in there and kind of comforted her and just, you know, my daughter could feel her presence and that kind of thing. But that's kind of how what you need. Oh, let me give it out. Let me give it out. It's coming in. I'll give it out. I ain't trying to do no diamond, but just have to give it out. It's coming in. So that's kind of a way to attack it. You kind of attack it like that. So saying they're real, yes, you can have a relationship with a guide, you can have a relationship with the ancestors, but again, you have to tap into that. You have to do enough work where you're tapped into that, where they can come in and help where they need to help. And there are times where just by being a good person, they'll come in. And so are there positive things? Just like there's negative things that can steer us one way. Like one of my exes was saying, she get mad at her man and say shit she don't really mean. Where, you know, there'll be something inside, there'll be attachment inside of you, you know, fueling that fire. Tell her you hate her. You know, and I've never remember telling my first wife, you know, I hate her. And there was just a little voice in there. You know, tell her you're leaving today and you don't fuck this house and fuck everything and you're just gonna leave. I mean, there's something that will fuel that. There's attachments that will fuel that kind of thing that's outside of us. And so that's why it's so important to be in control and know your own thoughts and not spread that kind of thing. So yeah, you can work with them. You can definitely work with them. I pray to communicate with my spirit team, guides, angels, ancestors of love and light and power. Also communicate with the universe, source, not worshiping that. And that's you know, that says it all. That says it all. You know, that does say it all. I like that. And so that's how we just have to look at it, how we have to manifest things. We have to really manifest things and be thankful for what we have. Because television, like even right now, you know, we had to get a little electronic equipment. He wanted to get a new headset. And it's like looking at new TVs. Well, right now it gold at $1,900. So if I buy gold, I've got something that's gonna keep this value with the shit going up. You buy a TV, it ain't worth the money you pay for it the minute you take it home. And what does a TV do? It's gonna make you want to sit in front of that motherfucker. You paid all this money, you know, it makes you want to sit in front of it. So to me, it's like my son was like, well, you're gonna get another TV. It's like, yeah, it would help, you know, when I do my videos and stuff, but I don't care enough about it. There's better ways to put your money to work than something you're just gonna sit around and I mean, as soon as this weather break, I'm gonna be at the pickleball courts. Cause I'm a pickleball playing motherfucker. Oh yeah, I watched it. I watched it. That shit was funny. A lot of Republicans didn't come. You know, and remember Chris Rock's movie where Chris Rock ran for president. He showed that where the Republican people would stand up, you know, and clap and then sit down with the others. And we saw a lot of that theater. We saw a lot of that theater. And you know, the looking at Harris for an hour helps her, helps Pelosi. They sitting there. Did you notice that visual? The women, you know, the women of power right there. This country's really changed. We got the women of power. I don't know if people paid attention to that. You've got the women of power up here. This is how the country's changing. These women are important. You know. So I don't know. It is theater. It's all theater. It's all theater. Um, my mother was getting mad. We argued about Trump, but it's like, regardless, things would not have been like they are now. And I don't think anybody can doubt that. Now, fuck Afghanistan. That was shit. And it's like, it's funny how now they saying the bug is all over, but I truly believe the bug was started by the Democrats. I'm sorry I said believe. I know it was started by them, but they got back at their asses Afghanistan, because I've said this many times. The Republicans helped Afghanistan, the Taliban, take the country over. That was their way of getting back, because this is the dirty tricks they do. As I've said before, you've got in Syria, Department of Defense fighting CIA people with American taxpayer money. What's your thought on holy oils used to deliver people from demons? That ain't really. Where do they get it from? And look, they put a spell on the water. They more than likely the demons be coming from them. So as you know, they know how to work with the demon, because really the church is based on Yabatha, which in a way is like a superior demon, or Marduk. These are superior demons. And so can they create something that there's a barrier? Not really, because it's all based on the same thing. That's why that movie with Keanu Reeves, going through the holy water and showing how to go to the underworld. Well, there's really no underworld like that. It's Yabatha's world. Marduk's world. So it all comes from those sources. Religion comes from that. Going back to Yabatha, going back to Marduk, however old you want to say, did he merge, whatever you want to call it, that is religion. That is the religion. So could they create something to get rid of something they created? Yeah, of course. It's theater. It's an act. So of course they can. Only word that came to mind when I see the little Joe Biden speech, theater. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. These people be going out, they talk shit about each other on the news, but then you see them at the bars and shit together, or see them at the restaurants, or they eat lunch together for 20 years. All these people that Biden used to, and like my mother, like, this is my problem with Biden. Biden and Clinton locked up the most niggas in history. Now they tried to, after Reconstruction, they tried to lock up most of the melanated people in the South. Locked them up by the thousand. And you know what? Biden and Obama, or Clinton, excuse me, Biden and Clinton locked up more. They set up a system, again, Snowfall showing you this shit, which surprises me. But again, they brag about what they do. They love to brag about what they did. So to them, they laughing about it. They like, look at this. We showing them how we destroyed them, yet they made this shit even more popular. You don't think they laugh at us when they show shit like that? They want you to know they did it. It was backed by them. As I said, it goes back to 1959 when these car companies knew, and busting the unions, taking these jobs away, bringing Cain in. And I'm going to say that every day to people. That's what happened. And then you had the crime bill. He said he didn't care that you was poor. He didn't care that you was hungry. Lock your ass up. Didn't matter what made you do it. Lock your ass up. And even like what's going on in New York with the subways, with the fear mongering. Because in the subways, you are by yourself a lot of times. Man, a little pistol will pop a motherfucker, There are really fallen angels just roaming the earth? Not really. I mean, that's, I told the story of Yabatha. That goes into him. Yabatha finally coming to earth. That's all that is. That shit about the shiny one. I mean, there would be no different than God and the devil, or God and Jesus. There would be no difference. It's all the one and the same. It's all one and the same. If you go into the Old Testament, the jealous God, that's Yabatha. No God but I, that's Yabatha. Head of State was a very helpful movie. Yes, in a lot of ways it was. In a lot of ways it was. Like, especially about Mercedes. I love that part. you know, because Mercedes cars were some of the worst cars from like 92 to like uh, uh, 2008. These cars were some of the shittiest cars. You got S classes that was like showed in that movie, $50,000 to $100,000 car, and them cars were some of the worst cars ever made. It's like a dude called me about an '08 X5 BMW. I learned from when I had my Land Rover. That shit, them repairs is too much. Now I love that my Land Rover won me some money because I drove down an ice hill. It had that differential where you had a hill descent, and I had the grip tires, and I was able to where motherfuckers were sliding down it. It wasn't nothing but a little, you know, sliding hill ice, and that motherfucker. But once the repairs hit me, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You can get American cars; it's a lot cheaper to maintain. Administration benefited from the bug, probably had to have her hand in planning this out. Absolutely. 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 Low key, Biden ran his whole campaign on fear. Yeah. I'm better than him. Telling melanated people you not a nigga that if you don't vote for him. That's really what he meant. You not a nigga if you don't vote for him. Like they said, gas is at 105. Gold is damn near gold went at I think 1900 and something. The big mover was Bitcoin. At one point, Bitcoin was up to 44, and then it dropped down to 43, and I'm not sure it closed. Probably closed around somewhere around there. Silver was up. Ethereum was up. Trying to think. The Nasdaq, because this is at 4 before I left, so I'm not sure, but how everything ended up. But again, like Bitcoin is not a bad thing. It's just funny that commercial. I'm a millionaire. Oh, no, I'm not a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. No, I'm not a millionaire. That shit's kind of funny. That shit is kind of funny. but it's like you've got to have some kind of real savings. And as I was saying before, compared to getting a new TV or buying some gold, I mean, it's really the gold should weigh heavily if you're trying to look at something that's going to hold value. And we know cars, like used cars, are very expensive. but that's, you know, I don't think we would be hit with this inflation if it wasn't for Joe. I saw the maturing candidate for the first time. Super heavy, sick manipulation, energy, yet nothing new under the sun. Which one did you watch? The Denzel or the one with Frank Sinatra? I think the one with Frank Sinatra is a little more telling than the one in Denzel. I think you because of the timing when Frank Sinatra's movie was made, it was 61, 62. Oh, and Angela Lansbury. Oh my goodness, she was so fine as a young woman. She's probably in her late 30s, early 40s, and she's still fine in that one. But you look at how a lot of, like, the first one shows like how they came out of Korea, and then started training these super type soldiers. But again, look at some of the school shootings where a person could be triggered just by a video game, where a mug got snatched and they trigger to go kill just by a video game. So, you know, these are called sleepers. You know, these sleepers can get woke up by seeing something on the television. So that's kind of what it brings to light, a little bit of that too. Gene, what's happening? Now the media arms are pushing the whispers. So yeah, the older one, I thought, because it shows you, I think they're going from either World War II or into Korea, and then they start being brainwashed. I mean, we did it. Just, yeah, it's so much that's done to people. It's like even this alien thing, making people believe they got snatched. It ain't nothing but the government experimenting on shit. More experimental. You know, government go put a mask on, give you some drugs, to shoot you with some shit. You gonna think you seeing some shit like that. There's drugs that'll do that for you. Right now, they dropped the price on a book on hallucination, the different type of hallucinations you can find naturally in America. This book's $600. So you think that ain't got a lot of good knowledge about the different kind of techniques and chemicals. And most of us, and it's like, you know, how they got people conditioned, like they got rid of cigarettes mostly, and they got people conditioned to want to smoke their buds with tobacco. So there's a big campaign about stop smoking, but at the same time, people are still supporting tobacco companies because now we've seen a generation. It's been 20 years of people smoking blunts. And I've told this story many times. Back in '84, I took an ounce. I always would get to, because my ex-wife grew up basically on different plantations. Her mother ended up living on a tobacco plantation, and I would always get fresh tobacco. And one day I had a big old leaf, because tobacco leaves, once they're cured out, and I had about an ounce of weed, and I put about a half ounce in it, and me and her brother and her cousin, we licked it up and we smoked it like that. This is like 85. I came back from playing football, or probably going back and forth. And yeah, so I understand it, in some ways, I did experience that. But once it became a thing, it was never anything I would buy, never anything that, I mean, people I would go over would do, but it was nothing that I ever would personally just go out and buy wraps and need to wrap it up. No, I never did that. Uh, Best place to buy silver? It really depends on where you live. A lot of times the pawn shops are really cool, and because like our pawn shop here goes by pennyweight, so a lot of times their prices is very competitive, but especially for buying, selling sometimes, but still you get value. You may not get the full value you paid unless you buy it again intelligently, but if you just go to a coin shop, they'll damn near give you what you pay. Just they'll give you what the market is. So, you got to look at those factors too. You take it to a gold shop or a coin shop, you're pretty much going to get what you pay. But, you can take it to a pawn shop, they're going to give you a little less. But still, you're going to get value compared to trying to sell that TV. Like say it like this: you pay $2,000 for a TV, or you buy you an ounce of gold. Now you go to pawn that TV, you done pay 2,000, you might get 200-300 for it. Now, if you don't go to trade that coin at a gold coin shop, and you just go to a pawn shop, you're gonna get about $1,000 back, or more, or more. So, and you go to a coin shop directly, you'll get what you pay. Oh, matter of fact, talking about silver, uh, picked up another little, maybe this is the shrimp little fork or some shit, but this is silver. And this is real interesting. This motherfucker here says, let me see, let me get this right. I want to say this is off an airplane, Pan Am. Maybe it's, I don't think it's some type of commemorative. I don't know if was this used to be a baby spoon or a freaking coffee for airplanes back in the 60s, 70s. But this is another little piece of silver. Probably worth about $4 or $5, I'm guessing. Nothing, put in my collection. So, yeah, blunts are too harsh, no doubt. You hear the blunt cough. You hear the blunt cough. See, we loved ones on the other side. So we will see our loved ones on the other side, and what happens after this transition. It's not really quite like that. It's like, okay. So when I talk about directional energy, and sometimes I have to go to those realms, it's not so much that same interaction of being alive. It's not really that. It's almost more like there are energies that find a way to be near the source. And just as you can say different dimensions, somewhat, but that's not quite the whole story. Somewhat, and to just make this understandable, a little more understandable, it's almost like different dimensions. And so the energies of the source can be in the same different dimension, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to make it more understandable. So it's like the same energies can hold dimensional space. Now, is it an interaction like I'm talking to you and you hear? Not quite. It is more relationships through how each uses the source, and each still what is the word I'm looking for? How your spiritual purpose is played out. It's like I know my mother, my brother, and I, some kind of way, our energies have always been together through these space time. It appears. It's like that there's something between the three of us where we've always moved through space time together. Now, again, that's a little bit of reincarnation, which more than likely we probably weren't smart enough not to. But even if we broke that reincarnation thing, our energies would still find a way to be near each other as far as near the source. If that makes it any. And so as you go into these directions, I mean, this is a lot. I'll start counting, and there's a limit as I go to a direction. There is a limit, because you can be 1,001 south, it usually you find the loved ones a little quicker than that. But that's kind of how it is. It's not this inner. I mean, that's the hard part of describing it. It's not this. In some ways, it's better than this, but it's not this. And so I don't want people to think that it's this, because it's not. Saying that you can be around your loved ones and your family, yes, but not like this. It is a whole different kind of concept, and that's why I bring up the dimensional thing. So yes, you say, can you see them? Yes, you will sense that energy that's always been around you is still around you. Yes, indeed, and it's very likely that the ones you vibe with in life, you are going to be probably on the same level. Now, in joy and bliss, they're in the Gnostic book. What does it say? I don't know if I can find it, but it's like you go to source, and even though there's times I've had this, but it's like you go to source, and sometimes you just want to be a tone. You just want to be a tone that says that sings with the source. You want to give that vibration that the source gives out. I think most of my recent information has been on Yubatha. So one of my favorite passages, maybe I'll have to look at it and bring it out, because it's a beautiful passage to kind of give you understanding. 80s babies, and blunts got hella popular in my head in the hip hop culture by the early 90s. Yeah. Say we was doing it in the 80s, the Philly blunts. And they used to sell the blunt shirts. So yeah, it was probably 90s with the blunt shirts came out. But that's where you first saw it, in the late 80s, going into the 90s. I'll check out local spots before searching online. Yeah. You can definitely check local. Yeah, definitely check local. That's why I got to get another scale. I gave my neighbor the scale, and I got to get another scale so I can weigh up the crystals and stuff, and the silver and the gold too. Yeah. And remember, you can melt gold down. You can melt it down. Uh, so we meet them, Nico. And if I didn't say what's happening, Nico, I'm sorry. So we meet them through different energy sources. Yeah, exactly. You'll meet them through different energy sources. It's like the czar is the hardest thing to explain, because the other night I went through it again, and I was like, man, this some part didn't seem like it, but I was looking what was going on. I'm like, this is moving through the czar. And so my meditation got so deep, and I started seeing the czar experiences. And again, it's a lot about possession, but it gives you, it's like a hallway of scenes almost, and it's like you. So I don't even know if I want to say this, but well, I would just say it was a situation about possession. I'll just say that. But it's like it took me a second to really understand what the scene was, and so I'm moving. I'm like, this is how I'm moving. I had raised my vibration enough where I could, connect into that. And so, but it took me a second because it was a little different than some of the other experiences. So, that's why you work on it now. It's like that's what we work to now. We work to now is how, like studying death in Tibetan Book of the Dead. And I don't care what quantum science says. There's merit in it because it's one of the few things that tells you how to prepare for death. And again, discernment, of course, but like really, I've said this before, and I'm gonna keep repeating this. You should be sleeping with your head in the east because when you die, you definitely want your head in the east, and so you can get more energy from whichever comes up during the day, but it's just the energy seems to rise from the east. It seems like this is something where a lot of early energy rises during the day. Where the moments of the morning when you sleep, it seems like there's greater energy if you rest your head in the east. And again, this is something that's taught that they teach you. But just study that instead of being fearful. So right now, they want this more than anything. That's why they do all these rituals because they want this and they can't make it spiritually. When they die, they're dead. They paid. There's nothing more. And that's what they're fearful of. And that's why they want you in this system. Because they want you to fear it. So you want to live in this system too. They want their riches now. But you see that the riches don't last forever. Like I said, the man that's now 148 years old, he looked like a prison in his body. Looked like for some reason they holding him in here. Now, I don't know if I want to be here 148 years from now. My 100 years is this coming up in about 40 years. And do I want to be locked into this body when I'm 80, 90, probably 80 or even 90, but going beyond that, 100 years, why would I really want to be locked into this? And it's nothing about suicide or anything. It's just like this thing wants you to live longer. This thing wants us to want to be on this plane longer because it's almost like the Matrix, like they need us. They need our energy. I mean, that's what it appears like. They need our energy. And so many people gladly give it. Now, I'll never say that there are people in the church that live and have good hearts and that they can still break away. They've lived such a beautiful, good life. And even though they've been tricked into this, they've lived such a good life where they can break all these hexes on. And they get closer to what the source is. I mean, that's possible. I'm not going to condemn all those people, because it's not, it doesn't work like that all the time. That doesn't just condemn them just because they didn't really know. Because that's what it is a lot of times. They didn't know. They didn't know they were being tricked. But yet they still had a good heart. And that ain't got nothing to do with karma. But there are people that can break through all this because they've lived and treated the people with love. And as someone mentioned before, love has no equal. Love is supreme. Joy, bliss, this stuff don't have no equal. They want to tell you joy and pain. How? Love and hate. How? Love is by itself. I mean, there's no higher vibration than love. Compassion. Because having compassion for people is a part of love. That's part of love. Give you a prime example. Trying to think, why was it my appointment? Yeah, when I was just in the doctor's the other day, had to get my physical. There was a baby they brought in, and when I was going back to the room, to my room to see my doctor, the couple with the baby was coming out, and I just sent it some love, and I sent it some healing energy. Now I don't know these people, but yet I was in the position and close enough to them where the baby could receive it. Now, I ain't saying it miraculously healed him. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that this shows my unselfishness because I heal those who I can heal. I'll send a little healing energy. People talk to me and tell me, "Is someone on here? I've been sending healing energy to him. He's going through a hard time." And I wish I was a richer man and could help people that are worthy. But since I can't, I send some healing energy because there's some people that just get all these attacks. And so we send healing energy, which in some ways is stronger than if we could send the money. Because even if you can lift a little bit of dust off a person, it's positive because your intentions was right there. Thoughts on people in church speaking in tongues? A lot of it is an act. But wicked does have a language. And sometimes the wicked will use a person as a vessel, again, possession, to put a spell out. And sometimes it takes these old languages to put spells out. So most of the time it's fake, but sometimes it's purposeful. And sometimes people sitting around get a spell put on them in a very old language by a type of step in. So a lot of times, like I say this, like I grew up in Pentecostal churches with my grandmother, my father's mother, and we would see the same person get up and claim they had the Holy Spirit, and it was an act. It was a attention getter. Now I'm able to, and one problem I have with churches is I'm able to see when energy comes into a person, and the person is truly, that energy comes into the person. Now sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. But I'm able to see what comes into the person. I see people that fake, and I see people like, shit. What is this? Lakers are fakers. Yeah. But I think the Lakers are still above your Portland Trailblazers, chiefin'. That's just a joke. I hate that they put Chelsea in that bad situation. So, but it's funny with Luka, watching Luka and stuff. They don't dig Luka for some reason. He ain't getting the pub they used to. They gave him. They're not gonna make him the face. There's something about him they don't like. So yeah, that's kind of like it's acting. A lot of that is acting, but sometimes it's spell casting too. Not gonna say it's bullshit, just out of pocket or out of hand. A lot of times it is attention getting. It's attention getting, and so yeah. And I've watched this. I've watched this kind of thing. It's just a funny kind of thing, and you just want to. That was Prince's thing. What did he say on what's his name show? When I learned the truth, I just wanted to slap somebody. That's that Minnesota talk. That's shit Minnesota niggas would say. But it's like work on self. That never changes. Work on self. Love yourself. Again, you look in the mirror, you gotta love what you see, and also understand that the illusionary aspect of it. It's like you looking at what they want you to think you look like. You look in your life is what they want you to think that you've achieved or not achieved. Like I know a woman that if she doesn't marry a millionaire, she thinks she's a failure because her sister married a millionaire. And it's like there's really no love. She wants status. What are some methods to remove a curse? Well, you got to know what kind of curse it is. That's one of the first things is understanding what the curse has affected, like understanding the program behind the curse. I mean, that's the best way to break it down. Curses are almost like negative programs put on you. And the negative program, what is the program put on you, if you understand? And that's how you take it apart. And you almost have to take it apart, kind of like, how do I want to say this to make sense? It's like you have to understand the situation and where the curse came from. And then what's the curse? You understand that where it came from and then what it affected. You almost start from, okay, I see how I'm affected by it. And then you start from that and you actually start working backwards. That's the easiest way without getting too technical. You start working backwards and then you as working backwards, you see how you start kind of taking the curse apart. So that's probably the easiest way I can tell you. That's one of the ways. Um, Sometimes the curses be so weak, incense or even sage can get rid of them. Sometimes they're so weak. So again, you have to see that you have to understand the level that you've been affected by. And so for me to just off the top of my head say, it would be like I'd have to, but I'll say the basis is you have to understand what the curse affected. Now generational curses, that's a motherfucker. Because I've watched generational curses go by where every generation is hit by the same thing. Some ways in my family where I've watched vehicles and I had to find out, like I've watched family members, like almost every generation of family member got killed in an automobile. And so I had to go back to source. And what I found out is my great grandfather was the first person in our family, but in the area of Michigan to have a car. In 1919, he bought a Model T, four-door Model T. And he was cursed by someone that was jealous, actually an in-law. And so I had to go back, find that in-law, and then again, reverse what had happened. But I mean, it happened once again this year, but that's what made me even go back to say, well, okay, so hopefully what I was able to take apart will stick going forward. But maybe someone else in the family might have to go at it again. But at least I found out where it came from and start trying to build back up so it doesn't affect anyone else. And so that's the best way. No, I'll take that back. Not the best way, but that's trying to make an easy way to understand because it's, study some of this stuff too. And there's simple ways. Trying to think which book I have, but there are some information that you might can find that would talk more to what specifically has affected you. But that's a way to start. Is try to take it apart and see how you're affected by it. And then once you're affected by it, try to, kind of reverse engineer, I guess is the way I'm trying to explain. So, but study, it's little cures for that, where you can find out how to get rid of the hexes and the curses. And, not very expensive books. Um, yeah, that's the best I can give you right now off the top of my head. So just do a little research. Have you used resin to clear negative energies for yourself, fires, crystals? Have you used opal resin? I don't even know what that is. Wow. Um, like the thing about crystals in themselves, uh, I'll say this: the thing about crystals in themselves, like one thing that Sugarite and Selenite do is they'll release crystals. Don't really only really need to be released. But there's a lot of different ways. It's like you can lay a crystal on this and it will take away energies. But yeah, I mean, you want to share more about that? I've never done that. I've never done that before as far as opal resin. No, I didn't know that. But sage does a really good job. It really does. Um, I've had to put a soul to rest just using sage. Yeah. So sage is a good job. Most crystals, again, Sugarite, you can lay crystals on Sugarite, and you can lay crystals. This is really good for these because you can get like the big blocks of these and lay crystals on them, but they'll clear energies too. But some oils, you can use oils too. They get rid of and release. Because that's the proper way to say it, what to release. But no, I've never done that. And how much are we protected by spiritual law? Spiritual law. Wow. Wow. That's a good one. Well, I know a lot of people talk about universal law. Okay, that pushed something. Something moved. But a lot of people talk about universal law, and I don't know if quite spiritual law applies, because things can hmm, there are so many different graphs of spirituality, that to say it's all governed by a law, not necessarily. I don't know if that would be necessarily, but if you're saying, if you're okay, like this, if you aren't circling some shit and you aren't calling some shit, you're not going to be affected by shit like that. Now, far as attachments still attaching to you, I don't know that there's a thing that governs that they attach to you or not, because this is something that constantly happens to us when we're out. We get attachments. We get attachments just from watching TV. So we have to do the work to also spiritually protect ourselves too. So now, are there things that work? It's like, some vampire movies where the holy water don't work or the silver don't work. There are entities that stuff don't work on. No matter how positive and how strong a force, there are beings that can come through that. And you still gonna have to deal with them sometimes. But the thing is if your intentions are good enough and you connect with your guides enough and your ancestors, and I think that's what you're getting on, is a spiritual law, you can get help. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the question. You can get help by that kind of system. Yeah, yeah. And guides will kind of come and help you in those systems. So, but it's like the work you put in to be unfuckable with, especially spiritual. Um, a great question. Why is that some babies are born with defects and illness? Is it from something that happened to them in the past life? I would tend to go with, like he says, SD says, vaccines, and I think I would almost agree with that in some way. Um, but like the and that's the thing. Like, people say we made an agreement to come here. That we made an agreement to come here to take these burdens. That there's that our energy source some kind of way said, okay, we'll try it. We'll try to come in this reality. So, and so that just happens to some. And I'm not gonna tell this story, but see if it's another story. But yeah, but chemicals too. A lot of the chemicals they shoot in babies as soon as they're born. Babies don't necessarily need that, because almost everything the baby needs is in the mother's breast milk. Almost everything. So a lot of chemicals they attack babies with very early. I have a cousin that up to 4 years old, he was a normal child, and then something hit him and he can't speak. He's wheelchair bound. He's like a baby almost. And he's about 20, 21, but he was fine. And then something hit him, and it took him away. It took that little boy that could run around away. And so more than likely, I believe it is kind of so that goes into karma though too, to say past life, that's kind of karma. So don't necessarily use karma. Yeah, I heard people use opal resin, burn it on hot charcoal to clear crystal skulls, gems. I think it might be more powerful than sage. Okay, okay, okay. I understand that. But like a lot of times, like when I read cards, I'll put the cards just in the singing bowls, and the singing bowls release them. But I see you, but I understand that. The sage is pretty powerful. It really is. And again, it's who's using the sage too. So, but good idea. I'll have to check it out. I broke a strong curse using sage daily. Yeah, it's very possible. Very possible. And researcher, I'm not saying that out of hand that won't work, because it does sound like it will work. I understand that. a good way to do it too. It's a new way. Thank you for bringing it up. Seeing certain things could put a curse on you. Oh yeah, that's like I don't even with my children. I wouldn't even allow them to all that blood and cut up shit, murder. I wouldn't even let that shit be in my house. And I try to explain that to my children that it does you get imprinted with that shit. And it's like the people that like watching the murder shows and stuff. That's almost an imprint, and it's like almost like an attraction, you know. And I know some people like to see the mysteries and the part of solving it, but I mean, you watching this stuff, you're kind of attracting it somewhat. And so, yeah, yeah. But those slasher movies, of course. Now, the way I always looked at slasher movies, especially in the 80s, was like when we would watch Jason kill a bunch of motherfuckers, we'd be in there like, one, get that dumb motherfucker, Jason, get that. I mean, we looked at it as a comedy. You know, we was looking at it as a comedy. We was like we would switch it with my teammates and I would switch it, and we would go for the killer, and we looked at the people as dumb and go get them. They deserved it. And so again, we made it a comedy instead of the horror. But as I got older, I don't even want that shit watched in my house. You know, but what Candyman? You know, they put Candyman in the projects. Now, shit in the projects ain't too many people scared of shit. Oh, that Candyman live, you know, he live on the 3rd floor. You ain't got to call his name. Go knock on his door. He'll fuck you up. But agreed, Nico. Oh, okay. Well, have a good evening. You know, definitely say less, Mr. Lamborghini leg lock. Say less. My cousin gets into witchcraft from the movie The Craft. That seems to be one of the popular booms with Wiccan stuff. You ain't got to bind stuff, not really. You don't really need to go all through that. But witches is nothing more than, you know, working with herbs and stuff. And a lot of, like, I'm not saying that you can't get a wooden wand. I've got a wand that the mother tree gave me that I've been carrying out for a couple years. And I need the shellac. I've kept rope and just gonna, you know, make a wooden one too, not just these crystal ones. But I've had it for a few years, and I just need to get it. I want to polish it, you know, put the shellac on it and shine it up, and then put the crystals on it. And yeah. Oh, it's a video game character. Okay, is a video game character. Okay. Well, I use the name of what they stole and used to be a car, and that's how most people look at the word, not knowing that it was a real person. And a real person that lived in Michigan. No, you know yeah, that's kind of been like I would say that's behind me, and I only say that behind me as in generational. Like my brother had Pong, like we played Pong. You know, the original Pong was at a table, and we would go out to eat with my parents, and my brother was old enough. And that was just kind of a generation that was kind of behind me. Um, like I think the most I ever played was Christmas break of '80 when my cousin had Miss Pac-Man. You know, I was more into playing pinball. I like pinball more. But when the games came, and you know, as I became an adult and had children, I was the video game buyer, not the video game player. I think the thing where the old system where you could fight the dragon on top of the hill and jump on top of the turtle and it would go all fast. That was about. I like the Pearl Harbor, maybe the second Call of Duty, the Pearl Harbor one where you had to get out your bed and you could get a boat and you could shoot at zeros with unlimited ammunition. I guess my favorite thing was race cars. You know, I've always said I would get the steering wheel. I did enjoy the NASCAR versions, but shit, that was like I bought a PlayStation 2, maybe the skinny one, you know, the long skinny one. Maybe that was the PlayStation 2. But this is let me see, he was born in '02. So probably '02, '03. Yeah, I played a lot of NASCAR, but a little bit of football when I first moved to Minnesota with my son. And what year was that? I moved here in '06. So a little bit of football with my son because he didn't really know anybody. And so I would play football with him, but nah, never been a gamer. no, that just never really interests me. Just to sit there and yeah, never really interests me like that. I'll buy games, but yeah, no, never played them, not like that. When I was younger, I liked scary movies because it scared me. But once I got older, I was like, what you said, I looked at a comedy. Now they make me go to sleep. Yeah. But it's again, what do you want brought into your home? That's the biggest thing. It's like, what do you want what do you want to bring into your home? Hmm. Well, that's kind of silly. And did some shit. Uh, I ain't gonna worry about it. So no, never been that kind of thing. Never that kind of thing never really interests me. But again, I think that's a generational thing. And then young people like my son here could play 10, 15, 16 hours a day. My other son live in the city, same way. My older son that works, he can spend 5, 6 hours playing. He do work, but still, that's they did that as boys as well. So it's just a personal kind of a personal preference on what you want to do. That's all. But no, not for me. Not for me. It's like I ain't really never been a big porn watcher. And porn is just you talking about some of the worst kind of energy on something that's sacred. Like I've said before, my oldest daughter that I didn't raise, like right now, she's just a straight hood rat. She got like her mother always wore a big face full of makeup, and she ain't had the acne problems her mother did. But again, this is what she looked at all her life. And she's in the bar and strip bars with her man. He's throwing dollars at bitches, and she's smacking the chick is rubbing her boobs all in her face, and it's like, how do you think your marriage is gonna last when you're exposed to this? I don't know. I really just don't know. Everything is the click away. That's funny. And so it's like, why would you bring this into your marriage? I don't understand. And I can understand the entertainment aspect of people wanting to be entertained. I do understand that aspect, but that's like porn's never been my thing. Strip joints, I've been into probably three my whole life, and two times I've been in them has been with women. My ex-wife, she liked that kind of thing. She found a way to scam people too, but that's another story. But that ain't never been my thing. The only movies I owned, porn movies, was back in '86. I had Debbie Does Dallas and I had Deep Throat. But those are the only porn movies I ever owned was them two. And then I loaned them to my dad, and yeah, never got them back. Never got them back. And it was like the porn movies with some Dr. J highlights. Before ESPN was what it is now. I had some Dr. J highlights I recorded. He freaking lost them. So, but yeah, that's like that's really like if what they doing with the meta. And once that fully gets going, I mean, it's that's they want to suck you into it. So that's your life. It's like player one. Your life ain't this. It's more illusion. It's more illusion than what this is. So, and that's what some people, that's some people are gonna get swayed into going into it. Going to the light, Johnny. Going to the light. Boob Whisper's favorite thing. Going to the light. And the light ain't always good. So, especially the white blinding light. Uh, what's up with Ukraine? Real or fake? I think a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's real and fake. Some part of stuff are real. Like this is the funny shit. They talking about they was attacking a TV antenna and they was missing it. Like it looked like they was missing it because if you throwing missiles at a damn TV antenna, it would be pretty easy to knock down. And they didn't show any bomb knock it down. Boom, and then it just chips over. The antenna was standing straight up. So I don't know. Real player one metaverse advertised. Yeah. Yeah, it's fake. Yeah. So it's like some shit is real, some shit is fake. But why ain't they showing like them take out? They got Stinger missiles. Why ain't they showing them taking out tanks? Why ain't they showing them if you are on a 40 mile I can't even the word, but you got 40 miles worth of truck, and like one general broke down. He said it was just 40 miles of going one way. He said intelligently military is you got them going both ways. You know, you got vehicles that need to be repaired going back. You got gas, empty gas trucks going back. And he's saying everybody going one way. They ain't, they just locked into a convoy in one way. He's like, that's not. And then they're all sitting ducks there. So why ain't they showing them being attacked? They just sitting there. Why ain't they being attacked? So, yeah, it's a little bit of both. Oh, yeah, CWE, the Lakers are done. But that's the script this year. That's the script. I think if it's going to be, the Wilt ritual this year, I still think it's going to be the Sixers and the Warriors. And I think the Sixers, they might make James Harden, Oscar Robertson, and then they'll lose one. So if the Sixers win, the next one they're in, they'll lose like Oscar Robertson did. Because really, they should have won in 70 and 74. But so that's how I look at it. They'll probably make James Harden be like Oscar. But as I was talking to my son, I mean, the Westbrook trade, if it was real, no one would want Westbrook and paying him $40 million. And even though Washington is still paying more than half of the original contract, matter of fact, Oklahoma City might even be paying some of that contract. The Lakers have some of it though. Kobe probably sacrificed himself so LeBron wouldn't pass him. Well, Kobe was nothing but a Michael Jordan clone to keep that idea of the Michael Jordan going. That's all Kobe was. I mean, he played 20 years. I mean, think about it. He played 20 years, but he only won 5 championships. Bill Russell played 13 years. He was in the championship every year but 2. And he won 11 out of 13. You see, that's Kobe, 20 years, 5. That don't really seem like a lot. Like even Brady playing 20 years and you won 6, but he was in 10 Super Bowls. So half the time he was in the championship. Again, all scripted. That's a good one. It's shaming for the Laker franchise. Yeah. They showed Jeannie Buss. She's at the game, And so that's what it is. It is their shaming year. They don't mind. They get paid. It's entertainment. Yeah, excuse me. Yep, Brady won 7. Yeah, you're right. He was in 10 and he won 7. Yep. But it ain't like Yogi Berra and like Bill Russell. Almost all their career they was in it. Even Kareem won what, 6? Magic won 5. Yeah, Kareem won 6. What Kareem? 22 years, something like that. Lakers stuck at 17 chips until Celtics get 18. That's a good point. That is kind of how they do it. What do you think about lockout? They've done it before. So, what they didn't realize and what hockey really didn't realize, like, remember hockey tried to go on strike and shit, people didn't give a fuck. It took hockey a long time to come back. And if it wasn't for steroids and the juice baseballs, baseball was dead. Because baseball came back and nobody came. Gave a fuck. But you see what they did. They did the Mark McGwire thing and the Sammy Sosa, hitting home runs. People love home runs. But baseball was looked at as like, fuck y'all. So, I mean, it's millionaires in a union and a strong union. And so even though it is scripted, you've got a strong union. So players, it's money, it's about money. And the players is like, we want more of this. If we go to arbitration, we want this in the pot. I think it's 22 million they want in the pot. The owners were saying 6. So they ain't even meeting. So you got millionaires that can afford it. The ones that are hurt is the minor league players and the players that aren't, don't have their 5, 6 years in. Because the way they got baseball, again, they get their money. What I think they really want is not get money when they get old. Because that's really the way it's set up. Is they get the maximum contract when they get old. And, they can hold, like they can fuck with a person's money where you are not on the opening day roster. And they get your services for another year. That's how dirty it is right now. And they want to get rid of that. Because top players, they know that, like if you're in a small market, they know that the top players is only going to play the 5 or 6 years. And once their contract's out, they're getting the fuck up out of it. And so a lot of times they do that dirty shit, like don't put them on opening roster and you get another year of their service. So they trying to get rid of dirty shit like that. But I mean, baseball struggles with people caring anyway. You got to love baseball to really like it. I mean, other than people liking the hats and shit, yeah, baseball doesn't have the imagination. Again, football makes the most money of all. It's the greatest generator. Might pay attention to NCAA tournament to see if Kansas wins it. No one's talking about them, but they are a top 10 team. You know who I think is gonna win it? I think they're gonna let Duke win it. That's what I really see right now. Is they're gonna let Duke win it. Krzyzewski's last year, yeah, they're gonna let Duke win it. Is what I see right now. That's a good play on Kansas research. I'll keep that in mind. But I'm looking at them letting Duke win it. I really do. I think they're gonna let Duke win it to have his last year out. So that's what I think. That's what it appears. It appears like that, I think. But we'll see. And I think St. Mary is the lock to win their opening round game. I'll say that too. Because it was one of the handicappers on there, and he's like, well, I guarantee St. Mary's wins the game. Well, they only gonna win their opening round game. I was just about to say Duke gonna win. Yeah, for Coach K, absolutely. So that's kind of what I'm feeling right now, just watching the way the season. And I think my guy Duncan Garcia left Carolina because I'm looking on their bench, unless he got hurt, but he ain't on the bench, so I think he left because he was starting and playing a lot. And then I looked last few weeks, he ain't even on. I don't think he even on the bench. So I'm not sure if he's going to transfer or not. I can see Duke winning it too. Coach K's same as the Super Bowl. Birthday same as the Super Bowl. I'll say baseball's last. It's national pastime when the strike happened at 94. So Mark McGwire and Sammy home run brought fans back. And Barry Bonds' home run record was baseball's last hurrah. Yeah, you got to be a diehard player to love it. And I love, like, here, I can't wait to Wednesdays. Wednesdays is, what is it, dollar hot dogs and $5 beers. And it's just such a relaxing on a hot day, drinking baseball. You know, it's no rush. You know, between innings, you can go to the bathroom, come back. You go to a football game or a basketball game, unless halftime, and you don't want to go halftime, especially women, because the bathrooms get packed. You know, with men, it's easier to manipulate. But you go to a football game, like the last football game, you try to get food at halftime, you're going to miss half the third quarter. And again, to not be rushed like that, you got to leave part of the second quarter to go get food, or go get food when you get in. And most people go sit and then go get food, or get drinks and then get food. So, I don't like how they're adding DH to the National League. That's not real baseball. Yeah, but it's really not fair to me. To me, it's not fair to make pitchers hit. And I know, you know, it could be looked at as the natural game, but I think it's better off that pitchers don't hit. Because they don't specialize in that. You want a pitcher to specialize in pitching, and I just think it's a disadvantage to make them do both. It really is. Now, again, the athletes, but I just think it's a disadvantage for pitchers to hit. I do. I think the American League got it right. And when the American League did it, I think the whole league should have done it, but the baseball purists didn't want to do it. So, oh. Damn, I'm knocking over my setup. This ghetto setup. Everything's opposite. I don't like how they're adding. Okay, it takes the strategy out the game. Yeah, and it takes the hitter away. Yeah, force the manager to make a decision. Yeah, because it takes the hitter away. Yep, takes the hitter away. I do see that. It does. But it's just, to me, a specialized way. It's like, I think it's unfair. Dudes who should be pitching, and then you making them take batting practice, and then the the injuries you could get. What if KD can't win without a Curry brother? Yeah, I don't see it for them. I really don't. I don't see it for them. And like, even watching the Lakers game, like, that was such a, like, the Westbrook trade to get rid of Pope and Kuzma was crazy. And then to give away all those young assets just to get Anthony Davis. You got the fake bubble championship, and all of them are fake, but under normal circumstances, Davis can't, even down there when he played with the Pelicans, wasn't a healthy dude all the time. And now you're seeing every time he jump up in the air, you think he's going to get hurt. So it's already screams to get rid of Davis because he ain't going to be there for you. So Harden needed to be sacrificed to get a Curry. Well, I mean, he played his role of the lovable loser like Paul. You know, I would say Paul. Paul's the lovable loser. Paul will never win. Now, I don't know why they ever put Paul in the Oscar Robertson position, but his commercial. So I guess if the sacrifice is the sacrifice of winning, you know, sacrifice of winning for Paul. He got the commercials, but he's the lovable loser. So, I mean, how does Chris Paul have more commercials than Curry? And then Curry was hurt for those years. So maybe somewhat. Did I do any gematria? No, I don't really mess with gematria like that. I just look at the past. I look at the past and how they've done teams in the past, because even though the names have changed and the faces have changed, a lot of times you see the same thing. It was like when I showed that thing of I think his name was Billups, that dropped a touchdown that would have won Cincinnati the Super Bowl against Joe Montana. You see 30 years later when what's his name got the interception, when Russell threw the interception, it was the same play, except this time he intercepted the ball to save the game. You see? So it's like they do these same things over and over again. So, you know, I don't really work with gematria. Not really. I don't know who Zach got winning. I listen to him Wednesdays for Rambo, and that's about it. A little bit, but it's like I said earlier, it's like every story ain't worth analyzing. Every story ain't worth analyzing. It's really not. And to me, it's a waste of energy to have to analyze everything. To prove that you're so right that every little bit of shit that come out, you got to comment on it. Some shit I ignore because I don't give it energy. I don't let it live. And Zach makes everything live. Everything lives because he comments about it. He gives it life. And so that makes me think he works for them peoples. Now that's a thought too, SD. They could, but I doubt it. I doubt they'll be able to make up that much ground. But again, you know, playing games. That's why they put them in there, to put more teams into the system. Zach was on Lakers bandwagon. And I think Zach, sometimes I see him meaning well, but I just see the way he flipped it and he don't talk about them peoples anymore. And then sometimes he say that he could be one of them people. So it's kind of hard to break down. Next season is 76, like 76, it'll be 76 for the anniversary of the 83 finals. That's a good point, CW. And that's useful. Maybe it's a trap. Yeah, it could be. I just look at the way Oscar and Jabbar put together and the way they made it, like Harding couldn't get along. When your main stars was hurt most of the time, he couldn't carry the load like he did in Houston. And you have to say that Harding, even without KD and without Irving, Harding's surroundings was greater than what he had in Houston. And he couldn't win. He still couldn't win. And his skills are eroding. He's older. But again, he had a better team than them Houston teams, yet he couldn't win with the better team. And that's, you know, again, KD's not playing, but I'm saying that the surrounding players he had, well, a lot of time was better players than what he had in Houston, and yet he was winning in Houston. Zach works for someone, and he gets his information from them. I don't think he really has to get his information from them. One thing I'll give Zach is Zach knows them numbers backwards and forwards. He knows them numbers backwards and forwards. He knows the comparison. So I don't think they need to give him information, but it's to the point where he has to talk about everything. So he gives everything life. And some of this shit you just freaking ignore. That's all. That's my only thing. Harding went 2 for 12 in game 7 versus the Bucks. Yeah. And then the Ginobili block. When he got blocked by Ginobili, made him miss. Like tonight, did you notice that in the first half, Dallas shot 50-some% as a team? And then they're showing making a lot of layups and shit, but again, 50-some%. And you telling me against another pro team that you can shoot 50-some%? Yeah. It's not believable. Damn, I've been going almost 2 hours. Wow. I know I need to stand up, sit up, stand up, sit up, stand up for your rights. Sometimes I want to be a floater. That's why float on. Cancer, and my name is Jesse. I love everything and everybody. Take my hand, come with me, baby, to Love Land. Let's hear it. I just like having fun. It's just about having fun. That's the balance. That's the balance. We got to be balanced where it ain't just, you've got to be rounded about a little of everything. And sometimes people aren't rounded. They get so narrow minded in what's they think instead of being rounded in things. You know, it's you study everything, but everything don't deserve your attention. That's my point. Everything don't deserve to be analyzed. It's like people that break down movies. Every movie ain't worth analyzing because it ain't shit in some of the movies. Some of the movies ain't shit so much that it ain't even worth talking about. So it's just like, why talk about it? Stacy, what do you do to moisturize? Right here, just CBD. I use this because because like my son, let me tell you what I had to do to my son. Oh, it's all right, but yeah, that's what I use. Actually, I've used for my face because I'm bald, and for my face I use Nivea. And what I found out is Nivea helps you tan too. In the summer, I have to have a sunroof, and Nivea tans you as well. So, but I bought this new kind of Nivea that you can put on your beard and it moisturizes your beard, and because like I have to use non-alcohol on my face. So all y'all out there, do not use something with alcohol in it or even heavy fragrance because it can dry. But make sure it's free of alcohol because you don't want to put alcohol on your face. NBA wanted LeBron. Oh, yeah, wanted LeBron to beat his former team. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. What's up, Adam? My sleep schedule is so messed up. Of course, with getting my tonsils removed, one of the roughest things I've ever gone through. No relief in sight. Head, heart, and throat hurts at all. Yeah, getting older. It's rough when you're older. It's like getting chicken pox when you're older. It's just hard on you. So everybody send healing energy to Adam. I don't know what would give you relief, brother. I really don't. I mentioned you to my ex, and that's what we was both saying, how rough it is on an older person. So definitely healing energies to you, brother. And everybody can send Adam a positive thought. It could help. But yeah, it's tough as you get older. Um, um, More and more I think about KD's career and LeBron's careers alike, somewhat. LeBron's a greater winner so far because they made him the face after Kobe. Sometimes it reminds me, takes you off common sense. It does. It does. Oh, that's all right. You're just gonna catching me at the end because after 2 hours, I gotta stand up. As much as I've hooked up this position, it's hard on the button and back after a while. But I will do the divination. Oh, yeah, there was something else I wanted to read. I did want to read this a little bit. I could catch it here. Um, let me see. Oh, here we go. Okay. Latawika reached into a fire to pluck out a stick to light his long stem pipe, and still, if only momentarily, the nozzle of spiritual malice. He raised the pipe to his lips, grasped, dropped both brand and pipe, and then toppled over catatonic. Neighbors and family gathered around his prostrate form. His wife spoke to him. No answer came, nor could they detect breathing. Neighbors led the grieving widows from the wigwam. Liquor they assumed they claimed another Indian. As the custom, the Shawnee men from outside Picasso division washed the body, dressed Lakawika's corpse in the new clothing, and painted his face, all anticipation of the prescribed 2-day interval between life and death and the burial. The night passed with no sign of life. Next morning, Lalawaka's attendants began digging a grave, splitting the rough planks with their tomahawks to fashion a coffin. Suddenly, he stirred. A moment later, he woke up, regaining his senses, and he told the main onlooker, his brother Imani, about the story of death, afterlife, and resurrection. Two phantoms had led him, Lalawaka, along the spectral road until it forked. The right fork, the ghost told him, led to heaven, the left to hell. Now, this is interesting, and this is what I want to break this point. So you have a path to go to. If you're in the underworld, would you want to go to, or you're just in the other world? Would you take the idea of going straight to heaven, or would you want to experience, the negative side somewhat? Those who took the right fork shed all evil and wicked ways and became good. Those who perished in their waywardness were fated to follow the left fork, which led into to the evil spirit. Propelled with sinful down the left fork, Lalawaka came to 3 houses. From the first and second houses, path led to the evil country to the right fork, offering hope of redemption for those who eventually accepted the light. But Lalawaka discerned no pathway from the third and last house. This place he called eternity. Its occupants clung obstinately to their mischief. Their crimes including liquor, beating their wives, committing murder, practicing witchcraft, which comprised the art of hurt or torturing another person. Again, he described it as the art of hurting or torturing another person with poison. Vast crowds flocked to each dwelling. To his amazement, many literally ran to the horrific third house. All 3 abodes, he saw masses of people, Indians, white, under awful torments. And this is the prophet, who is Tecumseh's brother. And just his experience of truly awakening when they thought he was dead. And it's a little more into it than that. I talked about how Cleveland had a big drought. LeBron brought Cleveland a championship. Brooklyn has 67-year drought. That's a good point. Because, but again, they're very stingy on letting the ABA teams win. And I'm pretty sure that the only ABA team to win it was San Antonio. Browns were won easy rings of Heat like KD did on the Warriors. Somewhat. And that was all act. They wanted him to say not 1, not 2, not 3. So it made it look more convincing when Dallas beat them, and that was the most fixed ever. So tomorrow, going into day 18, these are the colors for tomorrow. Type of white and metallic or silver. And this is Otsnob, or knife or flint. Timelessness, discrimination, clarity, hall of mirrors, spiritual warriorship, sword of truth, facing the shadow, and integration of the paradox. Mirror sword, the number 18, color silver. The herb is sage, flower is orchid. Flower essence is violet, water violet. Scents are lemon or wintergreen or spearmint. Stones are optical calcite, which you can kind of see if the shit is hex that you walk into. Air and the direction, energy, if you want a little push, the direction is coming from the north tomorrow. The energy is from the north. So if you want to manifest, you want a little push in your back, it's from the north. The shadow part of it is illusion, judgment, self-doubt, separation, being caught in a problematical hall of mirrors, thinking illusion has power over your ability to change your experience. I'll say that again. Thinking illusion has a power over your ability to change your experience. And again, free will. Shadow transformation. Look at the mirrors provided by other people and life situations as gifts. See how you maintain the illusions in your life. Use discrimination. Face your shadow. Look in the mirror. Wield the sword of truth in your life to release and forgive. Madra. Alternating one arm at a time, reach out above the head, then cross arms diagonally in a downward sweep if arms were swords, cutting through the illusion or cutting through ignorance. Affirmation. I am the truth beyond mirrors. I now see through the mirror in the greater reality. And Siova, if you watch this again or see this, I might get this camera this week, but like the person like broke up with her man and she bought the camera for a man. And so you know how them breakups be going. You be broke up and then you know you got to show me you love me kind of shit. So I asked her about the camera, to see if it's something I really want to invest in. And she's like, don't text me anything about that. I got it hid. And I'm like, oh my goodness. You playing games with your man. But I think she's going to get rid of the camera, try to get her money back at least. So trying to get it together, that's all. Trying to get it together. That's all. LeBron got karma for making fun of Dirk. Yeah, it's more than that. He got help. You know about the demon Ozan? Saw it mentioned in a movie the other day. Thought maybe you might have heard of it. I'd have to write it down. My brother kind of knows some of the names a little more than I do. But I remember, I'll try to research it and look it up. But my brother, I probably have to shoot it to him. O-Z-H-I-N. Good. Y'all hit my brother with it. He probably, I know you get caught. Oh, here's the shit I was looking for. I know you get tired of me calling, like, what is this? Nah, you don't. Also, LeBron didn't want Wade to win the finals MVP. I don't know. He played it was like so bad, obvious, that kind of thing, I thought. Notice how players get fined, rejected, suspended, and handed flagrant fouls for landing on someone, landing space in the Bucks net series. Nothing happened to Giannis, but stepping on Kyrie. Yeah, we saw that tonight. What was it? The game tonight we saw with Dallas. We saw the Laker player, number 14, Johnson, step on that point guard, stepped on his foot. Nothing was called. Nothing was called. Yep. Nothing was called. And that almost kind of sometimes be looking like that should be on purpose sometimes. I know, like, I broke my foot one time. I stepped on my teammate's foot and broke my foot stepping on my team. I went into the lane, and when I stopped, I stepped right on his foot. And I never knew whose foot I stepped on. And he told me, he's like, yeah, you stepped on my foot. Like, when you saw me in the lane, I was operating. So I didn't need you to be there. Didn't need you to be there. Like, get out the way. Ow! Get out the way. Stepping on Trae Young ankle. Now I didn't see that. I missed that part. I was watching some other shit. Yeah, I didn't see that. And then I think they blacked out the Wild game tonight, which was out. Because I watched the Wild. Well, I don't know. It's kind of 50-50 Wild before the Timberwolves. Because the Timberwolves won tonight. They beat Golden State. The Timberwolves beat Golden State tonight. And Edwards didn't even play. But I think that's somewhat of a Wiggins shaming. Because I think they were saying that the Timberwolves got like a 3 or 4 game winning streak on Golden State at home. Yeah. And I thought what was it, the 16th season? I thought we was gonna have tickets to go to see the Golden State and the Timberwolves in 16 or 17, I forget. And then the owner of the business where my ex worked at did some bullshit, and he stole kind of the season tickets, so he got to go to the games. He kind of bought it for himself, and so they had to fire this fucker. And so they fired the boss because this dude, he wasn't the owner, he was just the CEO, and he bought some shit. He bought that shit because it's supposed to be every week something for the workers, where the workers would be in a lottery, and whoever won the lottery got to go to tickets. These tickets was like shit for the season. Mm, I don't quite remember. They end up selling some of the seats though. I remember some of the seats was $1,500 per game. Yeah, because some of the seats, because it's like there one game we sat behind the opposite team's bench, and the two seats, because some reason it was one game where they owned the four tickets, and the two seats next to us, because my ex girl was a accountant, so she knew how much. So it was two seats next to us, and the dudes that paid 1,500 for them tickets. And I remember it was a dude sitting in them at first, and we was like, we knew it wasn't his. Like, and he's selling all these wolf tickets and shit about this big, beautiful house he's got, and this and that, and got these deals. And this dude ended up having to leave the seats because the people came. And again, they paid $1,500. These suckers didn't come till halftime. And the dudes, we told the dude, like, we know these somebody else's seats. This dude was sitting like way up. He like was on the first level, but he was way, but he was like, they were like, his real seats was like 12, 15 people, 15 rows behind us. And he's selling all these wolf tickets about how good, how good, how rich he is. And you got to steal seats. So, well, I think I'm going to, call it. So this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. This is your host, Big Pontiac, and I will be doing Responsible Daddy Hour about 2:30, around 2:25, 2:30, to give my positive outlook for the fathers of the world. And so, catch me then at 2:30 at Responsible Daddy Hour. I will be back on at this time tomorrow. If you can't catch me then, and try to put some spiritual information to anybody who hears, or anybody who's going to hear this in the future. Try to help you solve your highest good. Yeah. And so, with that said, till we meet again, say less.